Welcome to the Impact Multiplier CEO podcast. If you're a chief executive, or if you think like one, and you want to create exponentially greater impact, then this show is for you. My name is Richard Medcalf, founder of Xquadrant. I coach some of the most successful and impressive CEOs and executive teams on the planet and help them achieve extraordinary results. And no matter how successful you've been in the past, there's always a whole new level of impact available to you. So, if you're ready to play a bigger game than ever before, I invite you to join us and become an Impact Multiplier CEO. Attracting tech talent is one of the biggest pain points of many executives right now. And today I speak with Jason Wojahn, who is the founder and CEO of Thirdera. Thirdera is a ServiceNow consulting business, and they've grown from 0 to over 600 employees, 600 talented, technically savvy consulting employees in just a year. They've integrated 5 businesses. They've recruited more people than they acquired. It's been an extraordinary story. And today, Jason shares us some of his experiences from the CEO learning curve. So enjoy this fascinating conversation with Jason Wojahn. Hi, Jason, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm really looking forward to this. You've built a 600-person business operating in 11 countries in just 1 year. And that was in the middle of a pandemic and everything else that we know about. And I'm really excited to listen to this conversation, have this conversation around how you did that, and what have you learned in that very probably tumultuous year, right, pivotal year in your own career as you became CEO and founder of this business of Thirdera. So perhaps before we get to that, do you want to just kind of give us a bit of introduction, like how did you get to the point where you decided to launch Thirdera, and just what is the business? How does it operate?
Yeah, so we are a ServiceNow focused consultancy. At Thirdera, our job is to help clients and help consumers or users of ServiceNow get the most value out of their implementations, their configurations, and help them manage those services in an ongoing fashion. It's a really interesting place to be because at the end of the day, what we do with the platform is we help enterprises transform to digital ways of working. We use that in the context of workflow, automation, and really help them not only internally in their IT departments or other sub departments in their business, modernize the way they work within the context of digital communication, digital workflow, digital automation. But we also get to work with their businesses, their end consumers, et cetera, in that context as well. So, as I like to say, we're a cloud-focused consultancy. We're focused on enabling the best value or most value for a product called ServiceNow, and everything we do revolves around helping customers optimize the way they work, helping businesses optimize the way they work in a digital context.
Fantastic. So, what led you to found the business to found the business and become a CEO? Like, what was the story? How did you get to that? Right, because it's a big thing you've taken on here.
Yeah, I would love to say one day I woke up and said, I'm going to be a CEO when I grow up. I never did that. I was actually in music in sports in high school and then on to college, and I actually took my first job in technology. Really thinking I was going to try to save some money and go back and maybe get a graduate degree or something like that. But ended up really humble beginnings in tech, starting in a call center, doing technical support calls over the phone, and then eventually, grew that into helping and customers from a technology perspective, and then into management and into leadership. And I've really just really found something that I've always found terribly interesting in technology, which is it's always changing. It's never the same twice, right? And getting a chance to see, I started my career at IBM actually, and getting a chance to kind of see it done well at scale. You couldn't help but kind of get into the weeds a little bit, and and try to understand what was next and why it was next, and certainly trying to address some of the limitations in the support industry and things of that nature, and which of course led me to consulting, and then to eventually to the ServiceNow ecosystem, which has been for me been really a fascinating place to be. There's I think, as we were saying earlier, I feel like I get to solve these little puzzles every day, where customers are trying to establish value, or trying to improve their businesses, and they rely on us to help them achieve that, which is a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, so you got into the ecosystem, and then what was that pivotal moment when you said, I can build something here?
Well, we've the market is very very segmented, but it's also very fast growing. Cloud, was a really difficult thing for people to adopt, but as you start to get into those into those details about what's next in your technology, how are you using it to enable value for you, those types of things. What I observed in the early days of my career, it was all about the technology. It was all about making sure that the technology functioned correctly. It was all about, do you have the right technology enabled in this segment? Are you using it in the right ways? It was all kind of focused on that. What I love about the cloud in particular is it's really abstracted that. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. You don't have to worry about, the underlying code or the data center or those types of things. You just get to focus on the result of technology and enabling better ways of working. And if you find a satisfying life in helping people improve or reach your higher states of maturity, those types of things, you can't help but understand that with technology, you have a tremendous opportunity to do just that. So,
yeah, but not everybody who wants to be a consultant ends up building a 600-person business in 12 months or thereabouts. So, what was the story there? You went big, right? Very fast. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, we're growing very quickly. The story of Thirdera itself is it's interesting. The growth is an outcome of a lot of things that we've put into it. The growth is just an outcome of making sure that we are addressing, from a business perspective, we're addressing supply issues, skill shortages, things of those natures. But most importantly, why are we growing so fast? How are we growing so fast? Well, I think for us, it's quite simple. We are trying to attract value for our clients. We're trying to help them achieve, value states in an area, in a segment of technology that's rapidly changing. That resonates with clients. We didn't set out necessarily, certainly we've always set out to build a successful company over the last year. But I think the way we've scaled so quickly is really that our purpose, our vision, our mission, and our values all have come together in a bit of a force multiplying effect. It's allowed us to really attract resources from our ecosystem to come join the party, so to speak. We've had businesses that have agreed to kind of align their mission, vision, purpose to ours. I think we've provided a good catalyst for change in the ecosystem, and I think that at the end of the day, people like to work with like-minded people that share a like-minded objective, and that's what we've achieved here.
Sorry for interrupting, but what is it that makes it that attractive? Because I can imagine there's lots of consulting companies, various sizes, who work in this ecosystem. So, and I'm sure they're all trying to deliver value for their clients. So, what is it, do you think, that's allowed you to bring these things together in such a way? Why are you so attractive?
I think in our space there's tons of options, and when you have a lot of different options as an individual or as a client, or even different options from businesses and approaches, you do tend to see data, you do tend to see individuals start to collect together in certain ways, and I think what we've provided is a very fertile ground for individuals to come in and not be overburdened by process or corporate ways of working or politicking, and to say, we're here to enable client value. We're here to build a company we all want to work for. Those are our first principles and our lowest common denominators. And if that resonates with you, then great, come along for this ride and let's go enable this value. If that doesn't resonate for you, well, then you've got tons of options, and you can always go someplace else and do that. And I do think in these segments of technology where there's a lot of optionality for the individuals that are working there, if you can help, keep your company contextual, if you can help, kind of make sure you're reinforcing the right work patterns on a day in day out basis, then you really have something that people will collect together to achieve. And I think that's what we've done here.
Yeah, I love it. I kind of have this idea of the lighthouse effect. I'm calling it. It's this idea of you got this fragmented world in fragmented industry with lots of options for talent, and everyone in tech industry knows right now, finding tech talent in all sorts of areas is incredibly difficult, and everyone is a pain point for almost every leader I talk to. And yet, as you said, if you can create a bit of a center of gravity, a bit of a brand, right, something which actually people go, oh, that actually is an opportunity where I get to do my stuff in a good way, have fun with other good people, improve my skills, everything else, then it probably becomes a bit more differentiated than just another anonymous player in that space, right? So I think that idea of building a critical mass is kind of what I'm hearing within that, which actually creates a virtuous cycle, right? People actually go, you know what, I know this is a great place to work. They've got a good reach. Because of their brand, they're probably getting good clients or interesting names or whatever it is. And so it kind of is a self-perpetuating business. There's a cycle.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I think that at the end of the day, we are a services business. We provide services for our clients, technology services. We're very focused, however, right? We don't provide broad reaching services. There's what we do, and there's everything else. So we are really focused on helping a product called ServiceNow, a cloud platform, be rationalized and adopted, and using that cloud platform to help customers get more value out of their day in, day out. In IT, in information technology, that's always been a bit of a subordinate state in a company, right? I think that's not something that necessarily, most companies thought they were majoring in 10 years ago or 15 years ago or even 20 years ago. And now we're at this moment where every company is a digital company in some way, shape, or form. Pandemic has obviously accelerated that even further. It's not diminished the need for this. It's only elevated the need for this. And then at the end of all of it, we all want to be around like-minded individuals. We all want to be around people that are, in our context, maybe fun or reasonable, are reliable. We want to have the ability to trust each other. And those are all things that I think our company has done quite well in our first year. I like to tell our company, the Thirdera, I like to say, hey, we're just off to a really strong start. Let's just stay on the labor of just doing.
Going.
And while we've amassed a large group of people across a big segment of the globe, there's so much opportunity out there. There's so many businesses out there that are really struggling with how do I manage the way I work, and how do I work with my providers and my customers in a meaningful way. And it's a tremendously awesome place to be, is to be part of supporting customers, address those issues or improve the way they work, or deliver a better business result.
Yeah. So Jason, what's the biggest surprise as you launched this business and became CEO and founder and CEO? Because you did 5 acquisitions, I believe, in the first year, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of things that happened. You did all this recruiting, you had to create a culture, you did all this stuff. What was surprising? Like, what took you? What blindsided you? What were you not expecting in all of that?
I think at the end of the day, we knew we were going to be successful. I've been working in the ServiceNow ecosystem now for the better part of 13 years. We built a small company that was a company called Navigus. It was acquired by a bigger company. Got to work for that one called Cloud Sherpas. The Cloud Sherpas eventually acquired by Accenture. So I got to see what we did at a very small scale and a very emergent scale very early in the ecosystem, and then got to be a part of building something that was very supersized and in a much more mature ecosystem. We knew we could be successful. We knew the market needed a new type or a new breed of partner out there. But more importantly, and it's in our name, Thirdera. The reason when we named the company we did, I registered that domain name a few years ago, was this notion that there are these inflection points in technology where things just completely change foundationally. And in the ServiceNow ecosystem, I'd been a part of the emergence of the ecosystem, the first era, then the second era, which was the expansion and the scaling of the ecosystem. And I kept coming back to, we're leaving value on the table for our clients. And in every approach I've seen, both small and large, there's value being left on the table. And as I looked at the maturity of technology, I looked at the maturity of ServiceNow in this ecosystem, I said, that is something we can go off and address. We can help customers accrete more value. We can help them achieve, more value. We can ensure that they don't leave value on the table in the context of ServiceNow. But it was clear to me that we had to be very, very focused to do that, right? We had to have very, very focused intentions, and we needed to be very practical about what we were helping customers do. So, it was sort of obvious that we needed to build this company, because I really felt that at the end of the day, looking at our clients and looking at the opportunities for them, there just wasn't anybody really helping them get all the way there. And so our intention here is to help them get all the way there.
Right. Got it. So tell me about the surprises, though. You said you knew you were going to be successful. You had that vision for the third era of the ServiceNow ecosystem and delivering value. So you kind of launched into the project. So, but what took you by surprise?
Yeah, well, I would say it's been a pleasant surprise for me so far, and I'm not just spinning that to be positive. We've grown this company much faster than we had expected to. Nobody sat down a year ago or a year and a half ago when we were starting to have conversations about what this might become in time, and say, when the first 10 months of the company, we're going to acquire 5 companies. We're going to hire more people across the globe than we acquired in those 5 companies, and somehow that's all going to stitch together in a company that's fun to work for, that is kind of punchy in the way it approaches its brand and culture and purpose and those types of things, but is ultimately going to be delivering very positive CSAT and very positive customer value. I would have probably seen that on a piece of paper and kind of questioned whether or not that was real, and whether or not that was practical.
But on the other hand, Jason, you made it happen, right? So I get it. It sounds crazy when you say it like that, but it happened, and you had to make it happen. So what was the surprise? Was it the fact that opportunities came along, were presented to you you obviously had to go and acquire a company at some point, right, to make it happen, or you had to go and recruit a whole bunch, 300 people. So how did that happen? Like, where was, you started off and you weren't planning to do that. What was it? Was it just people coming to you saying, "Would you like to buy this company?" Was it kind of serendipity? How did that work?
We saw an opportunity for consolidation in the segment of technology we live in the ServiceNow ecosystem. You have the largest partners, which are more GSIs, and they tend to be companies that are focused on many different technologies, many different softwares, those types of things. And then you had the very regionalized, very subscale partners that are really excellent at what they do, but they don't tend to be as holistic or comprehensive. They don't have quite the investment of the large tier partners. And so what we recognized is that on the ServiceNow ecosystem had great support on either ends of the spectrum, the largest of the large and the more regionalized or smallest of the small. But what they didn't have is somebody that was global in reach, that could leverage the modalities of work that a globally based company could, that had the focus on just ServiceNow and making sure that customers got the most out of it. So we weren't blending our focus with other products or issues. We could be very pure with our customers to say, we look at the world in the ServiceNow context, and we help you automate, we help you workflow, kind of out from there. And so it was clear there's nothing in the middle of that.
Right.
And so it was very easy for us to say, okay, well, we're going to go be the middle. We of course recruited some funding, and while you mentioned I was a founder, I look at it. There was really kind of 3 main founders of the company. We came together, we collected, we saw the opportunity. We had experience over time, all 3 of us, in creating value in the ServiceNow ecosystem, and we said, okay, well, we can do this again. But we can do this in a way that's foundationally different. We see this inflection point in the ecosystem, in the market. We see all these drivers of technology and these growth patterns. We can bring that all together to something that's much more contextual for clients. It's much more focused for clients. in an establishment of their value. So, why, and that has resonated in the ecosystem. That has resonated with people that are in our space, and they understand, the value levers for clients and how to help them achieve more value. And so to some degree, you can't stop it, right? You can't stop individuals that are saying, I want to help and be a great consultant, and I want to drive technology and technology enablement and digital transformation. And if you can provide a fertile ground where people can apply their skills and talents to help contribute to that, then I think that is something that can kind of galvanize and help you accelerate and collect not only skills and resources and talent, but customers as well along the way. And so all of those things kind of have come together in this wonderful recipe or wonderful stew. And it was the right time. We had the right people. We took the time thoughtfully to put together the right resources we needed to achieve this. And, kind of when we got to the starting line, it became something where we found we were able to run very fast as a result of all those things.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. What would be your top tips for new CEOs, right? If somebody else, is setting up their company, what would you advise them? What should they seize? What opportunities or what traps should they avoid? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you need to be confident about your space. You need to have done the reps, for lack of a better way to say it. So you have context, you have experience. Then when you see that moment, when you see that inflection, or you have that idea, take those extra steps. For me, it's a lot less about strategy. We're in a great segment in a very fast growing ecosystem in an area of technology that is emergent. So what other strategy do you need? Right? Like that's perfect. Hold on to that, stay with that. Focus on execution, focus on delivery, focus on your first principles. And we're not growing this company necessarily to just, as a vanity metric, right? This is something that we're really principled about and really grounded in, our best efforts, our best work. If it doesn't achieve value for clients is work not worth doing. And so we really try to kind of stay as pure and focused on that as we can. And again, I think that's something that's resonated with individuals. Come here and do your best work. Let's get the encumbrances out of the way so that you can and help customers achieve their best value in the way that they work every day. And it's, again, the rest of it is execution. It's getting right out of the strategy layer and just waking up every day and helping to move that forward each and every day.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Really, it's a really great point, right? When there's a curve to ride, ride it, and then just focus on making sure it's tight, right? That it's working as a machine, a well-oiled machine. Say there's a time you can overthink the strategy when you find a curve that's open. And
that's what, in my opinion, and I don't want to get too preachy here, but that's what everyone gets wrong. Everyone sits down and talks about strategy and admires their strategy, and let's talk about the strategy and look at how great the strategy works, and look at my strategy. And it's like, I don't really subscribe to that. I mean, for me, it's sometimes and most often people would define a chief executive officer or CEO as being visionary and being that person that's got the strategy, but not necessarily as engaged in the mobilization of it and the delivery of it. And my view is it's all about mobilization and delivery. Once you pick where you're going to apply your skills or your talents as an individual or as a business leader or those types of things, then get out of your own way and just get to work. That's the biggest thing that I see is that, it's customers and even employees, they want someone that's going to be very consistent. They want to work with companies that are very consistent. There's no need to bring complexities. You actually have to fight to keep that as simple, as pure as possible. And again, I think we've done that extraordinarily well. Our team at Thirdera is principled in that way, and they wake up every day and they apply themselves, to those principles and those purposes.
It's Richard here with a quick interlude. As part of my coaching and advisory work, I often work with leaders who have recently taken on the CEO role. It's a big leap from the comfort zone of functional leadership or business unit management. and it opens up a whole new set of stakeholders, pressures, decisions, and responsibilities. I found that there are 3 key things that will make a huge difference in those first quarters. Number 1, balancing the operational and the strategic, what I call CEO focus. Number 2, establishing credibility, what I call CEO presence. And number 3, managing stakeholders, those CEO conversations. I've written a short email series that goes into more detail on the transition to CEO and how you can practically sharpen your CEO focus, solidify your CEO presence, and master your CEO conversations. It's insightful and it's entirely free of charge, and you can register for it by going to xquadrant.com/go/curve. Now, back to the conversation. So let's move on, Jason, and we'll hit you with some of my quick-fire questions.
Okay.
I always think these are interesting just to kind of see what concepts or background underpins your leadership. So what's the favorite quote that perhaps guides your leadership?
Boy, anybody that's spent any time with me is going to hear me say this, and I think they know what my favorite quote is. The single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that has taken place. I've probably not gotten that exactly right, but you get the point. It's George Bernard Shaw, who was an Irish playwright. But I really think that is an interesting thing. If you think about the way our brains are wired, right? You can sense or unconsciously you can perceive 11 million things any given second. Your brain, however, is wired such that it filters so much of that out to the 40 things that it think is the most important at that given second. And if you realize that everyone is dealing with a filter, we might be dealing with the filter of where you're sitting or right, whom you're speaking to or what have you. Or the bad day you started, or the great day you started, whatever it is. Making sure that you deliver messages as simply and as straightforward as possible becomes so important, because everybody walks away from a conversation with a slightly different aperture or a slightly different perspective of what occurred. And it is same with this podcast. As people will listen to this, everyone's going to walk away with a different perspective of what we said and what we accomplished or what we discussed. And the art of communication is making sure you stay very contextual, that you stay aware of the fact that not only do individuals receive things in different ways, they process things in different ways, and they will take different things out of that as a result. You're an awful long way to being able to be an effective communicator if you can understand that.
Perfect. What's the favorite app on your phone? Something that that perhaps is a bit unusual that you turn to.
I've been geeking out over HRV data lately, so I'm really into this app. I'm going to have to look at it on my phone to make sure I get the name right. But Training Today, which pairs with the Apple Watch, and it allows you to look at your heart rate variability data. And so I like to be fit. I like to work out. I think it's a good stress relief, but it also is just good for your body to feel good. And obviously working out gives you that great feeling. So I've been really geeking out over heart rate variability lately, and that app has been interesting to watch over time as a result. So.
Okay, perfect. What about a book? What's a book that's really influenced you?
Oh gosh, there's been a lot. I would say that most recently, however, I just finished Frank Slootman's book, Amp It Up. He may not be somebody that a lot of people have heard of, but he's actually quite an excellent CEO. He was the CEO at Data Domain, led that company through IPO and eventually an acquisition. He was the CEO at ServiceNow. I got the chance to work with him and really kind of see the way he addressed things. He's now the CEO of Snowflake, and just published his second book. And I think his book is a really excellent read. I think anybody who is doing anything in leadership or management and technology should read his book. You'll see him very focused on just getting things done, and there's an awful lot of value in the book he's put together. So the book is called Amp It Up.
Amp It Up. Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self, Jason?
25 years in technology is going to go a lot faster than you thought it was. And I would have definitely taken bigger risks earlier. I think I was very conservative in kind of the first third of my career. I didn't really understand that, I could turn the way I was thinking, I could turn the things that I was seeing into a company and a business. However, it is good to get a stage in your career where you have the ability to learn. I probably stayed at IBM a little longer than I should have. I should have had been more ambitional at that stage. It took me a little bit to kind of learn or see that opportunity. So my 20-year-old self, I would tell him to hurry up, get ambitional, and get out there and get it done. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for being honest about that. I must admit, I think I was probably at Cisco a little bit too long as well. It's easy to get comfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
And now I'm in my new lease of life. I'm absolutely loving it. It's the things I get to do now, are amazing. And yeah, it's easy to get onto a plateau without realizing it sometimes, I think.
Well, I know in our discussion early on, before we were live here, you mentioned you worked at Cisco and you're very successful. I worked at IBM. I was very successful in those contexts. And so you can easily kind of narrow your universe to say, I'm being successful here.
Mm-hmm.
Why rock the boat? Why go, address this other segment, or go scratch that itch, or go, take a risk in this space. There's no point in doing it and being successful here. And that's limiting. You might be very successful there, but that's ultimately not going to allow you to achieve your best. So feel free to air it out. Feel free to be ambitional. I mean, for both of us, you could probably make a strong case to say, had we been more ambitious or more aware of kind of what success really looked like earlier, you would have achieved it even sooner. So, I think while I wouldn't say take big, uncalculated risks, I would say take big calculated risks and then trust yourself in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason, many of our best guests on the show come from referrals. I'm always interested to know, is there somebody who's an impactful CEO who inspires you that might be a great guest in the future?
Oh gosh. I would say if you could get Frank Slootman, not to make this too much about Frank Slootman, but if you get him, you'd really have something. In my opinion, he's somebody that is he's so practical that I think that, and not very showy man. He would probably hate that I said that, but he doesn't necessarily get the attention he deserves. But you look at those individuals that over time have been so consistent and over time have been so successful. And you look at him, and I would say he's one of the top CEOs in technology, period. So he's somebody that I would say you should try to get on your show, and if you can, kind of thing. He's a really excellent operator and excellent tactician and a very thoughtful person.
Perfect. Well, I'll look him up. Thank you. Finally, no matter how much we've achieved, there's always a next level to get to. So what's the next level for Thirdera? Where do you want to go from here as a business?
We're going to continue to grow globally. I think for us, it's about only helping customers get more reach within technology and really design a better way of working in their enterprises. So for us, it's just doing more of that. It's expanding, that, and making sure that we're staying kind of focused on those first principles. As I look at the emergence of technology, I think that we're going to find in a 3 to 5 year period, more and more enterprises are going to rely on common platforms and technology to help them, really modernize the way their businesses run and operate. So for us, it's about really pushing the boundaries of helping customers achieve that. It's understanding where their common pain points are and where their common opportunities are, and helping to provide, a framework or a company that can help customers achieve that. Eventually, I could see, in this kind of this ServiceNow case, this platform narrative being a bit of a control tower, or I think a reference you had used earlier is a lighthouse, to help be a bit of a beacon in the way companies should operate. So for us, we're going to continue to be doing that. We're going to continue to scale in that space. I believe that the cloud platforms, and in particular ServiceNow, is going to be something that's really future ready, and is something that's always evolving. And so as a result of that, we will just continue evolving our company in that context.
And here's the question. Here's the stretch question. Here's the question. Bit of self-reflection here. What are you going to need to do differently, Jason, yourself, to multiply your own impact? Normally, we find a little formula that works for us and that creates what we create, and it's working well. But often, to get to that next level, you need to shift some things up. What's going to be your personal stretch as you continue to build the business?
Yeah, so it's something I remind myself a lot of today. Is that let's take our company in the first 12 months. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. In the first 12 months, we brought 5 companies together. We brought common systems, common processes, kind of tools, common software. We built an entire new business platform. We built an entire new brand. We launched that brand. We brought people together and aligned and galvanized on that mission and got into the real labor of helping our customers. And you could say, well, that worked, and we should just keep doing more of that. But the reality is what we have to look at what we've built with a critical eye and say, okay, where do we need to creatively destruct something we just constructed that we're quite proud of? And for us, it's that constant state of reinvention. That's the thing that I spend a lot of time thinking about. Is we created this company very quickly. There are some things that we're going to need to maybe address in a different way. Because we were building the company so quickly, and so maybe there's some things we've built that again we're very proud of, and see as an accomplishment. That tomorrow we should say, yep, that's not going to take us to our fullest intention or our fullest capability, or deliver our clients' fullest value. So it's this notion that we need to be in an ever evolving state. We need to be continually improving, which means that we can't be too proud of the company we've built to help restructure it or re-engineer it or adjust it to be more valuable for clients and delivering values for them.
Yeah, I love it. Creative destruction and reinvention. I think it's a great thing for some company that's so young still to be able to think that way. I think is fantastic. Jason, if people want to find out more about you or about Thirdera, where should they go?
Yeah, well, Thirdera is really easy. Thirdera.com, Thirdera. You'll find everything you need to know about our company there. Of course, we've got a YouTube channel and an Instagram and all those things as well. So, we like to have a little fun with some of those things. But for me, myself, I'm LinkedIn is probably the best business way of contacting me, and something I'm very active on. But those would be the 2 best places to go for contact information.
Perfect. Well, hey, Jason, it's been a pleasure. I've loved this story of how you've built this business with such a customer value focused and so fast, right? In just a year, building it out globally. And I love as well this idea of seeing an opportunity in the market to bring consolidation, create this bit of a beacon, and the way that that's worked for you, right? And seeing people come in wanting to be part of something that's going to got some scale and got some substance behind it. So thank you for kind of sharing this really fascinating journey, and I look forward to seeing how it evolves.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Take care now. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Now let's talk about you. When you're in top leadership, when you're in the biggest role of your career, who supports you at a deep level as you lead others? Who helps you multiply your impact and get to the next level? If you're ready to learn more about our content, our coaching, and our community, then visit us at xquadrant.com.